This is a message for anyone who's ever felt like their bra was just fine. Third Love is here so you don't have to settle for good enough. A company founded by women just like you who know what struggling to find a bra feels like. For over 10 years, they've been redefining what a comfortable bra looks and feels like, focusing on innovative design and high-quality materials. We're talking about bras, yes, bras, made with thoughtful details to solve common problems. Want to stay cool and comfortable all day? Third Love offers innovative thermo-regulating fabric that has you covered. Looking for a little extra lift? Need smoothing? Even need to add a cup size? They've got it. And the fit? It's unmatched. Third Love believes everyone deserves a bra that fits perfectly, which is why they offer over 60 sizes from AA through H. They even have exclusive half cup sizes, which means if you're in between sizes, you can get a perfect fit every time. Stop settling for average bras. Get solutions made for your body. Get $15 off your perfect fit bra at thirdlove.com with code podcast15.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
So what I think people get wrong in AA and how people are remaining stuck is that they're focusing on this.
If someone's listening to this, how do they know if they have a relationship with alcohol that needs examining?
Looks-wise, I can tell you, just a warning, you do get better looking when you quit drinking alcohol. You can throw away your moisturizers and creams and just literally stop drinking attractively packaged poison, which is alcohol. And then I say this, your drinking habits are costing you $500,000 a year. And they go, wow.
You were speaking about it before and you were saying that when you have that sort of casual relationship with alcohol, you're functioning at about 60 to 70%.
A lot of times, most times, the parent will have to concede and acknowledge that they're not fully present. They value drinking their wine or their beer or their scotch or their whiskey over having present time with their children. If I was trying to help someone identify the true cost of their drinking habits and also identify how much better their life would be if they lived alcohol-free, I'll ask them this.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
So what if the secret to creating a healthier, more successful, more fulfilling life isn't what you think? Today's guest, James Swanwick, discovered a surprising shift that transformed everything: his health, his career, and his happiness. From ESPN SportsCenter anchor to entrepreneur and creator of the world-famous 30-day no-alcohol challenge and Swanwick Sleep, James has helped thousands break free from old habits and design extraordinary lives. His story proves it's never too late to reinvent yourself, and you're about to find out how. James Swanwick, welcome to Oldish.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Wait, So now where are you right now?
I'm in Medellin, Colombia. I'm actually Australian-American, but I married a Colombian woman, and I'm in Medellin, Colombia.
I figured you were Australian because I, A, read it, and B, I heard your accent, and my fiance is Australian as well. She's from Wagga Wagga, and you're from Brisbane.
Oh, wow.
Right?
I'm from Brisbane. Wagga Wagga is a very Australian sounding city, isn't it?
It is.
It just sounds like the most Australian word you could put. Like when I tell people, it's like a Flintstones term. Wagga Wagga. She's from Wagga Wagga. It's like, no, she is not. Like people think I'm making that name up or that she's making it up, but it is absolutely there. I went there. I traveled there. I saw it. I saw it on the map. I saw it when I was in the airport and I looked up and it was, this flight's going to Wagga Wagga for sure. It's beautiful. It is very small. It is. It's not an ocean town. It is this cool little area where just lovely people. It was cool. We were only there for a day. We stopped by, but it was really cool. It was really cool to be there with Sharna and see where she's from and the stories that she tells me. Be able to put like visuals to those things means a lot, when you have that. Because you always hear these stories and you go, oh, it sounds interesting. And then all of a sudden you're looking at it and you're going, oh, now what you're telling me makes sense. Like you can connect the dots. I can connect all the dots.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, James, connect the dots for us. Tell everyone, you do coaching, you help people to stop drinking, you invented something called the Swannies with your brother, which I want to talk about. But how did you get to where you are today?
You came from the media world, right? You came from...
Yeah. I grew up in Australia, and I was a socially acceptable drinker in that I would have 2 or 3 drinks most nights of the week, and on weekends I would drink heavier, but I certainly wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't wake up in a ditch. I didn't get arrested. And in Australia, Brian, is what you probably experienced when you were in Wagga Wagga, is there's a big drinking culture there, and it's just acceptable. It's normalized. And as a culture, we were just like, oh yeah, no big deal. But and at that time in my late teens and right through my 20s and early 30s, I was a newspaper journalist back in Australia. And then I moved over to California. And after 20 years of drinking that way from age like 17 to 35, I was in Austin, Texas in 2010. And I was 35 pounds overweight. I was tired. I was irritable. I realized I was envious of other people's success. I was just kind of blah. And I went to that year's South by Southwest festival. I had 2 Bombay Sapphire gin and tonics at an industry party. I went back to my hotel in downtown Austin, went to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I kind of looked in the mirror and I went, I'm drifting in life. Like I'm pretty blah, I'm pretty mediocre and average here. And so I identified that I really wanted to stop drinking alcohol, and I thought I would take a 30-day break, and it's been 15 years now. I've been alcohol-free, and now I help people around the world to, at the very least, have a better relationship with it, and hopefully I can convince people to love living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
What was the catalyst for you in that? Like normally when things happen like that, you have some sort of a situation where you look in the mirror and you think different, and what you told us is it's a very simple one. You woke up in the morning in Austin, which is beautiful, by the way. I'm a massive fan of Austin, Texas. Music scene, food, incredible. But you said you woke up in the morning and you looked in the mirror and you were like, yeah, no, I'm done. So I used to smoke when I was younger, and I had 1,000,001 people, and myself, I was always like, I'm not going to smoke after 30. Like I'm going to stop before then. And then all of a sudden 30 came and went and I was still smoking, and it wasn't until I was on a set and somebody said something to me and it just clicked. And all of a sudden I went, okay, I'm done. And I literally stopped that day. It was transformative and it changed my life. Was there a thing for you that did that, or were you just kind of, it was something you were already building up to, and then finally in Austin that just looking in the mirror was the thing you needed?
Yeah, there were 2 things. One of them was the drift. There's a great book by Napoleon Hill, who wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. And he also wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. But Outwitting the Devil is the lesser known of the 2. And he talks in that book about, the worst thing to man is the drift. It's where we're just mediocre and we let our habits get in the way and we just kind of just drift into this mediocrity.
Right.
And so I felt that
changing,
creeping.
not evolving at all.
Exactly. And I felt that way. I've definitely felt that way. In fact, when I was drinking, I remember I was living in Hollywood, California at the time, and about 3 or 4 o'clock most afternoons, my mother or father would call me from Brisbane in Australia. And often when I saw them phoning me on the phone, I'd be, my parent, they're always calling at inopportune times, like, this is annoying. And I might screen the call and think that I was doing something more important. When I quit drinking alcohol later on, when they started phoning me at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I went, excuse me, I'm just going to take this call. Hi, Mum. Hi, Dad. Like I was so much more present. I was a much nicer person. And the drift was that kind of envy and that mediocrity and that poor sleep and that fogginess. And again, I wasn't an alcoholic. I was just drinking the way society said to drink, but it was just blah. And then the second point after that drift, Brian, was that morning when I woke up in that Austin hotel. Around the corner from the hotel, there was an IHOP, an International House of Pancakes. And I went and I sat in the IHOP and I looked around, And I saw kind of very unhealthy looking people eating all you can eat pancakes with maple syrup and and like whipped cream. And that was my moment where I was like, what the heck am I doing in an IHOP? And so right then was the moment I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a 30-day break from alcohol just to see what happens.
Just to reset.
And I ended up dropping like 13 pounds of fat, and I slept better and I felt better. I had this opportunity to audition for a TV show. To my bewilderment, I got the job, and I ended up hosting SportsCenter on ESPN for 2 years out of Bristol, Connecticut. And I was like, this no alcohol thing's pretty damn good.
So you saw the benefit show up for you right away. But take us back, because you said, well, I wasn't an alcoholic. I just was drifting. But if someone's listening to this, how do they know if they're just socially drinking what seems acceptable, or if they have a relationship with alcohol that needs examining?
If they're even entertaining that question, then I would submit they have a relationship with alcohol worth entertaining, worth challenging. Most people who come to my organization to get support share one of the following things. They're not as present with their children as they would like to be. And that can be young children or it can be adult children. They're carrying about 20 pounds, 15, 20, 25 pounds of unwanted body weight, which is not a huge amount, but it's enough that it's slowing them down and having them have experienced low energy. They definitely aren't sleeping the way nature intended them to sleep. So that shows up either waking up in the night or waking up feeling very tired. They have identified that in their career, they're probably operating at about a 6 or a 7 out of 10, which is okay, but they know they're capable of so much more, 8 or a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then looks-wise, I can tell you, just a warning, you do get better looking when you quit drinking alcohol.
Which is like, again, normally you think people look way better when you've had a few drinks.
Well, that's how somebody else looks,
right?
Not how you look.
But you look in the mirror and you go, "Yeah, I'm doing all right tonight." And then it's because you had that shot of liquid courage, and so it's the opposite, is what you're saying.
It is, yeah, because our body's largest organ is our skin. And when we drink, we're putting toxins into that skin, and that shows up with crow's feet and bags under the eyes. In fact, there was a study out of Cambridge University some years ago, and they showed these random people a bunch of random photos of people, and they said, choose who you find the most attractive from these photos. And the people who that were chosen overwhelmingly to be the more attractive didn't drink alcohol. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some sort of presence or radiance or something that maybe can be felt and picked up on.
100%. And I always say, especially to my woman clients, you can throw away your Neutrogena, expensive, celebrity-endorsed moisturizers and creams and just literally stop drinking what I refer to as attractively packaged poison, which is alcohol, and your natural skin will shine through. That shows up with reduced signs of aging, wrinkling. You kind of, women have reported they kind of have rosiness come back to their cheeks. Their friends often say, wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing? Have you been working out or eating well? And all they've really done is just stopped consuming the poison. And so it's a great beauty hack. Just stop drinking poison. And literally your natural beauty shines through.
But my question here is you're removing what I like to say, like people have gone to therapy, coaching, whatever, and they can't get to the root. They circle around it and they just can't make the headway that they want. But they might have a relationship with alcohol or an addiction. So when they remove the obstacle, it's not just removing the obstacle, it's everything that they get as a result. So they get more presence with their family. They get to feel differently. They get to sleep more. So it's all of
I was just going to ask. I was saying, you were speaking about it before, and you were saying that when you have that sort of casual relationship with alcohol, you're functioning at about 60 to 70% right? But then you're speaking of that you are jealous of people and you're envious. And is that because you don't have the energy to then put your all into something and really and really find the passion in it, because it's a bit dulled down.
Anesthetizing.
Yeah, it's dulled down when you're doing that.
Yeah, well, most people are using alcohol to sedate themselves, to feel something different than what they're feeling. And it doesn't have to be like absolute rock bottom. You do not have to wake up in a ditch or to get arrested or get a DUI in order for alcohol to be compromising your experience of life. It can be as modest amounts as a drink or two a night, most nights of the week, is enough to prevent your natural state from coming through. And when I say natural state, I'm talking about having clarity, having focus, having joy, living a life of appreciation instead of a life of expectation. I've referenced before when I was drinking, I was envious of other people. I was living in Hollywood, California, and I was a journalist at the time. So I would interview Hollywood actors, directors and producers. And I remember feeling quite envious of that lifestyle because nobody really celebrated me. I wasn't famous. I was just the person interviewing the famous people. And I remember feeling envy. But then as soon as I stopped drinking alcohol and I had clarity and focus and energy and I was much calmer, I started experiencing appreciation for my life. Now suddenly when I went and interviewed all of these Hollywood celebrities and famous people, I was inspired by them. But previously I was kind of like envious of them. But now I was like, wow, this is amazing. Look what's possible when you really just, a master of your craft. So certainly what I experienced was as soon as I removed the poison, my natural joy and fulfillment came through. And that's certainly what many people have shared once they love living an alcohol-free lifestyle.
So fall has this sneaky way of showing up. It really does. Like one day it's iced coffee and sandals, and the next it is, why are my feet getting cold?
Right? So
Right?
cold, especially my toes. You know what it means to me is that it's time to break out my new Bombas Higher socks. They are warm, they're cushy, and honestly, they're the only socks that I'm going to be wearing this season.
Well, okay, I just got the new Bombas slippers last week. Oh my gosh, they are ridiculously comfortable. I don't really want to leave the house once they're on type comfortable.
That's it, man. They really do. Like the merino wool that keeps you cozy without overheating, this Supima cotton that actually breathes, that thick rag wool. That's the kind of sock that feels like hot chocolate. It's like hot chocolate by the fire.
Yes,
It's delicious.
it totally is like that. And it really feels good when you remember that every purchase means Bombas donates an item to someone experiencing homelessness. That's over 150 million items so far and counting.
Which means that while we're staying warm, someone else is staying warm too. I mean, I just feel good knowing that.
Definitely.
They have this happiness guarantee too. Like it means that if for any reason it's not a perfect fit, they're going to make it right, which is crazy. It's no hassle, no stress.
Honestly, though, you're probably going to just want more.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. You guys should head to bombas.com/audio and use code audio for 20% off your first purchase.
That's BOMBAS.com/audio.
Code audio for 20% off your first purchase.
Bombas, they're more than just socks.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So what happens, because I think some people have the experience like you do where it's pretty immediate and they can come online rather quickly. For other people, they don't have that experience, and that sort of promise that I think is made in programs like AA where, people are like, your life's going to get so much better and you're going to be this and that. And And people are still in so much pain because what they used alcohol for, or anything that they're doing to kind of numb or sedate themselves, now they have to actually deal with all of that. I mean, do you find that in your programs with people?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, there's a chapter in my book, Clear, which I wrote, and there's a whole chapter there called The Uncomfortable Reality of Your New Clarity. And let me just anecdotally share. We had a woman who went through our 90-day stop drinking program. It's called Project 90, and we use neuroscience to help rewire people's mindsets so they love living alcohol-free as opposed to feel like they're depriving themselves of joy and pleasure from not drinking. And she was about day 60, 62, 63, somewhere around in the early 60s being alcohol-free. And she came onto a group coaching call, which we have inside of our Project 90 program. And she said, you know what, I've got this clarity now. And we said, great, what is it? She goes, I realized my marriage is over. And we were like, whoa. And then she shared, I'm going to sit down with my husband tonight and I'm going to tell him that our marriage is over. And she did that. And they ended up getting divorced. This was about 3 years ago now. And it was incredibly uncomfortable. It was incredibly awkward for her. But she needed those 62 days of clarity of not having alcohol distracting her in order to feel and know inside of her that that was it. It was time for a change. I checked in with her only a couple months ago and she's flying now. I mean, she started a business, an e-commerce business. She's lost 30 pounds. I didn't ask whether, she's got a new romantic relationship, but they ended up getting a divorce. And for her, that was the greatest thing that could have happened for her life. So, I always say quitting alcohol can sometimes feel like you're running through rose bushes and you're getting cut up and it's a bit of a messy process. But on the other side of those rose bushes, it's like that scene from the Shawshank Redemption after Andy Dufresne has crawled through through a field of
through the
crap
and all
mud.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end he's coming like this, Brian. At the end, he's got his hands in the air, and it's like the water's coming down. It's like the redemption, isn't it? That's kind of what it feels like for many people once they get on the other side of those rose bushes. Can
you talk more about the neuroscience approach that you have compared to what people normally experience with just AA? Because I'm curious about it. Randy and I have talked about the success rate in AA, and that there are definitely different opinions on it. So I was curious what your side is.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about AA just for a moment. And I am not going to criticize AA, nor am I going to support it. I'm just going to take a very neutral lens, okay? Now, I wrote this book called Clear, and I've been studying effective and ineffective methodologies for 10 years now before I wrote this book. What my research found was that AA's actual success rate is something around 7%. Now, what I mean
Randy
by
said that literally 5 minutes before we were on with you. He was like, I think it's like 7 or 8%. So it's exactly that. So I'm sorry to cut you off. Please continue.
No, that's all right. The truth is that AA has helped millions of people, tens of millions of people, no question, because it's been around 85 years, right? It's been around the longest. So it's definitely helped tens of millions of people. And if you meet anyone who has had success with AA, they love it, they defend it, they push it. And I say, if AA is working for you, keep doing it. I am so happy that AA has worked for you. The reality is, at least based on my research and countless studies, is that 93 out of 100 people who walk into an AA meeting, it will be ineffective for them long term. That's just reality. And yet, as a society, we've embraced AA as being, maybe one of two effective modalities. The other one maybe being rehab, for example. Rehab, don't even get me started on that. Rehab is less than a 7% success rate. The return rates of people who go to rehab, go out, then go back to rehab is astronomically high.
And by the way, just to clarify some of this, one is not without the other. So a lot of times you will go to rehab.
That's moving on to
then go to AA. And the issue with rehab, I went twice. I've known a lot of people through the years who have gone, is that it's this very protected bubble. that you're removed from your life. You're removed from the
Sure,
triggers,
from the
the
triggers,
pain,
the things.
everything that you're normally
supported by
experience.
everyone. Everybody's in the same. There's like
you have
misery
therapy.
loves company. Like you guys are all together.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're sober
Commiserating
within
together.
that. But a lot of times, depending on what people are getting off of, they're getting off benzodiazepines and things, which is a very slow wean. So they're still kind of on medication. They have things in their body. They're given other medications. So they're not fully clear yet.
Right.
And
Why do you
then-
think the success rate is the way it is, though, within the program? Then, I mean, what is the misfire between those two? Because it's, as you said, it's been around forever, and there are people that come out of the program changed for the better, but it's such a large percentage of the population that don't have that success.
Yeah. There's a lot of lamenting the past, a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment. It's not like-minded. So you might be a 45-year-old executive and you're sitting next to a 19-year-old meth addict who's holding up a gas station and a judge has ordered him to be there. And of course you want the best for that person, but you can't relate. And so you're not motivated to return. In AA, there's a surrendering to a higher power. I don't like that at all. You may not, in fact, even think that or believe that you're an alcoholic, and yet there's this kind of subtle pressure to say, hi, my name is John and I'm an alcoholic. What does that even mean? I don't feel like I'm an alcoholic, but I know I drink too much. And so there's this disconnect. The whole sponsor thing as well, like someone can be a sponsor for someone else, but are they really qualified to be a sponsor and help someone else go through their challenges with alcohol? There's a lot of ineffective parts of it, I think, that when you scrutinize it, you can see that it's a tired, outdated methodology. I mean, look, it was created 85, 90 years ago, and they're still going through the same thing. And again, I don't want this to come across as me bashing AA or being critical. I'm just sharing what the statistics seem to reveal. Now, Brian, you asked me about the neuroscience of what we do. Yes. And again, I don't want this to be just an infomercial for my stop drinking services, but what I would say is this. What I understand about behavioral psychology is this. Positive and empowering methodologies are so much more effective than I would submit what AA is mostly, I can't drink, I need to stop, I regret the past, I've got to make amends, I did wrong. Over here in AA, you're focusing on more negative what's wrong. Whereas neuroscience and what we understand about behavioral psychology is focusing on what we want, goals, vision, appreciation. I'll give you an example. There's a bundle of nerves in the brain called the reticular activating system. It's known as the RAS. And if the three of us were just talking about red cars in this conversation, right? Red cars, a red Tesla, a red Ferrari. Later on this afternoon, tomorrow, we'd go out and about in Los Angeles, wherever we are, and we would start to see red cars. Why? Because we're focusing and we're talking and thinking about red cars. Now, those red cars would always have been there, but we wouldn't notice them. But because it's in our prefrontal cortex at the moment, it's in our reticular activating system, we see that. So what I think people get wrong in AA, and what I think how people are remaining stuck, is that they're focusing on this. Don't drink. I shouldn't drink. I've got to quit alcohol. And so now we're focusing on alcohol. So the RAS just sees more alcohol. Versus if we just say over here, this is a neuroscience technique that some of the world's leading neuroscientists have taught our community. If you just focus on what you will do, such as I easily only drink soda water, ice, and a piece of lime. When I go to that party tonight, I'm going to walk up to the bartender. I'm going to confidently order a delicious mocktail. Now we're telling our reticular activating system, we're telling ourselves what to do as opposed to what not to do. We're focusing on health and vitality and empowerment and being positive as opposed to don't drink, I need to be sober, I've got to surrender to a higher power. That's the difference. Now, the University of Washington did a scientific study on our stop drinking process, which is called Project 90. And they did that scientific study in 2023. It showed a 98% reduction in drinking amongst the study participants. And I would submit really the biggest difference was just we had people focus on what they want to achieve, loving living alcohol-free, as opposed to, I need to quit, I have to stop, I've got to white knuckle this, I can't drink, I've got to make amends, I'm an alcoholic, I'm surrendering to a higher power.
You speak more about it in a sense of almost like manifesting the person you want to be instead of harping on the mistakes you've made. That it's like, oh,
Yes.
this is what I want, and these are going to be the prizes that I get from doing this. So then you are putting this energy out into the universe that we talk about manifesting all the time. It kind of reminds me of that. It's like I'm taking more of a positive approach to it, and I'm seeing the things that I want compared to what I want to get rid of.
Yeah, well, and with neuroscience too, I'm sure you can speak to this much more, is having a reference point, actually visualizing, seeing. When you can see it, those pathways start to connect. You can actually build pathways to who you want to become.
Right.
Let's call it a future self. Versus when you're only focusing, you call it lamenting about the past and focusing on not drinking and making amends. Some of that I think can be helpful in the process, but if you're only focusing there, it seems pie in the sky to be like, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to have fun.
And it's not your past. It's still your present right now. If you're living within
exactly.
that. Got it. Okay.
Do we have that right?
Brian,
Are we talking about that correctly?
Yeah. You guys are doing a great job with that, Randy. Yeah. Brian, I want to ask you about when you said you referenced earlier that you were a smoker.
Yes.
You were a smoker.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And how long did you attempt to quit?
Oh, I years. I mean, there were tons of times where I was like, I think I'm going to quit. And I would cold turkey quit it. And then I'd bum a cigarette from somebody out at a bar or something like that. And you smoke and then you go, ooh, I really miss this. This is really nice, you know? But it wasn't until that time in my 30s when I just, something clicked in my head and I was like, I am done with this. And I never looked back. I do not miss it at all. I don't think about it. When I see people smoking, my first thought now is like, ugh, like what is wrong? What is wrong with you guys doing that? That's disgusting. You know, like when I travel overseas, I'm just sickened by it. But yeah, it became a thing for me of like, I think like you said, it was much more instead of, I don't want to do it anymore, because it was like, I just want this out of my life. I want to move forward and I want to be into something new that doesn't involve this. I don't need to involve this anymore.
Yeah. What I think maybe kept you stuck for longer than maybe was necessary was that you were also trying to quit smoking.
Right.
And so back to my earlier point, you were telling yourself what you didn't want. Mm-hmm. And if I had been coaching you back then, knowing what I know now, I probably would have said to you, Brian, instead of trying to quit smoking, say this to yourself: I only ever breathe in fresh air. The only thing that goes into my lungs is fresh air. I'm the kind of guy that only puts healthy air in my lungs. And just, again, you're focusing on what you will do and you're focusing on that powerful outcome.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. As opposed to what you would, the ways you were attempting to quit, which is to quit. I got to quit smoking.
Right.
Couldn't
Because then you
smoke,
put pressure on yourself of like, oh my God, I'm not living up to the person that I really want to be. It's like, just stop thinking that way at all. Stop putting the pressure on yourself of not doing it. It makes sense.
Yeah. I'm curious, for someone who hears that and says, is that just kind of like a fake it till you make it? I mean, I'm saying this, but I don't really believe it. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that I've interviewed probably 50 of the world's top behavioral psychologists and neuroscientists, and they all agree that positive psychology and focusing on what we want, our desired outcome, is incredibly more effective than what we do not want. So it's okay to be skeptical, but the science seems to be pretty damn conclusive. if you get in a like-minded community of other people who are supporting your choices, and you believe that this lifestyle, and again, let's break up the word lifestyle into 3 words: style of life. Okay, style of life. If this lifestyle is preferable and desirable, and then ultimately becomes believable, then it's actually very simple to let go of our vices. Because now we start to perceive this lifestyle, this style of life, as being fun and preferable and desirable, as opposed to, no, I can't do this, I shouldn't do this. So I would just invite your listener, experiment with this. It might sound hokey pokey, it might sound woo-woo, but it's not. From what we've understand now of behavioral psychology and how human beings behave and what they're interested in, I mean, you can see it now as well. Like, there is a direct correlation between the social media companies, like getting us to click on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Like, they've figured out the science of how to keep us addicted on those damn devices, right? So then, if the science and the data suggests that doing it this way, which is, some of the ways that I've presented here so far, is effective, and the statistics suggest that, then I would just invite your listener just to lean into that and attempt it. Just run an experiment. I mean, when I finally gave up alcohol, I only thought I was going to do it for 30 days. I was skeptical that I was never going to drink again. But that was 2010. I haven't had one drop of alcohol since 2010. So even I had skepticism, but then the data of your own feeling and losing some weight and sleeping better and attracting a great romantic relationship and being more present is so overwhelming that you just go, okay, this seems to work.
What do you say to somebody, though, that doesn't have the forethought or the ability to think past what they directly know? Like, there are a lot of people that it's not until they experience something new where they go, ooh, I never knew it could be this good. It's like, so then what do you say? How do you convince those people that truly don't know or don't even think that far ahead and think that the differences that life will provide if they clean it up and what they don't know what's missing. They don't even know that things are missing.
Like maybe there's a question that they can ask themselves or a prompt as a segue to start to look at something new.
There's a few different things, and it depends on the person's motivations and their desires and what they prioritize in life. But let's just talk about someone who values money, for example, okay, or a great salary or great compensation. So what I would do is this: if I was trying to help someone identify the true cost of their drinking habits and also identify how much better their life would be if they lived alcohol-free, I'll ask them this. And let's just use an example of an entrepreneur, okay, business owner. I'll say, how much money did you make in your business last year? Now, I'll just throw out some hypothetical numbers here, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's just say this person says $1 million. I have this business, it makes $1 million, it's pretty good, it's all right. I'm like, okay, great. On a scale of 1 to 10, with your drinking habits being the way they are, how would you rate yourself in terms of your performance in the business? And usually they will say something like a 6 out of 10. It might be a 5, 6, or 7. I'm like, oh, really interesting. Yeah, well, how much do you drink? And they say, oh, like 2 or 3 drinks a night. I take out people for networking. I go to conference events. I get a little bit tipsy on the weekends when I'm watching my NFL team, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But I'm not waking up in a ditch. I'm not getting arrested. I said, okay, great. So let's just say at a 6 out of 10, you generate $1 million annual revenue. Yes? And he or she will say yes. Okay, got it. Let's just say that you were consistently alcohol-free for many months, maybe even a year. And now you slept better, had clarity, focus, energy. You made better strategic decisions. You made an extra sales call. You made a better sales call. You generated additional revenue streams. You hired someone, fired someone. You were just operating better. How would you feel? What would be your performance in the business at that point, being alcohol-free? And they will usually say like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I say, okay, great. So then I'll say, how much money in your business would you make if you were operating at an 8 or a 9 out of 10? And often they will tell me probably double, but like at least another half. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, so you're telling me that at the very least you would make an additional $500,000, $500,000 a year in your business if you went alcohol free. And then there's this silence and the penny kind of drops.
Clicks. Yeah.
It clicks. And then I say this, your drinking habits are costing you $500,000 a year. And they go, wow. Now, if we look at this, guys, if I go to my calculator, I'm just going to my phone right now, okay? I'm just pulling out my phone. If we go $500,000 divided by 365 days of the year, in this scenario, that person's choice to drink is costing him $1,369.86 every day.
Wow.
So every day that he chooses to drink is costing him $1,369.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then if you say, how many drinks a day on average do you drink? 2. Okay, well, let's divide that by 2. Every drink is $684.93.
Right.
And so what you're saying is the person who is money motivated, where that is important to them, breaking it down and putting it in the language in which is most important can really help them to see the cost of what they're doing and the benefit to not doing it.
Yes. And that's just the financial cost and the financial benefit.
God,
and that's before we...
Can you imagine if being a parent is your number one thing and you start breaking down the numbers of like how you're not there for your kids?
Oh,
because
it's heartbreaking,
it's
I'm
heartbreaking.
sure, to people, but that's really what they need
That's
to
how they
see
can, you
to be
connect
able-
them to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, most people, I would submit, are not as money motivated as we think. The money is just one metric. But I tell you what, you take a parent and you start asking them questions like, how much time do you spend with your children? How much quality time do you spend with your children? Yes, you're physically present, you're in the room, but are you actually present to their mannerisms? Are you actually connected? Are you actually listening? Or are you looking at your phone while they're there sitting next to you and you're just pretending that you're present? Oh, well, I'm there, I'm sitting, I just sat next to my daughter or my son for an hour. I had the hour time with the family. Okay, but were you actually present where you were totally focused on them? And did they feel that? And when you start to ask those kind of questions of a parent, a lot of times, most times, the parent will have to concede and acknowledge that they're not fully present, especially because they're drinking alcohol. They value drinking their wine or their beer or their scotch or their whiskey over having present time with their children. And it doesn't matter the age. It can be like a toddler or it can be a teen, or here's the other thing, it can be an adult child who's already left the home. I saw an interview with someone recently, and the question was, what's the definition of success? And this person said the definition of success is your adult children wanting to spend time with you, like desiring to spend time with you. And if you've spent a lifetime of drinking, being irritable, stressed, envious, drifting, not present, your kids are just going to mirror your behavior. They're not going to want to hang out with you. Like, you've already created that disconnect. Sure, they'll answer your call. They'll say, okay, how are you, Dad? How are you, Mum? But do they desire to spend time with you? And more often than not, when I talk to drinkers, and I'm not talking about alcoholics. I'm talking about people who've just been consistently drinking most of their adult life. They will share with me that their kids don't nearly stay in touch with them as much as they would desire. And they recognize it was mostly to do with their drinking habits.
A message from McAfee. Wondering why the post office is texting you or why you owe thousands of dollars in toll fees? Because someone's trying to scam you. The good news? McAfee can help. With McAfee's award-winning scam detection, it's easy to tell what's real and what's fake over text, in your inbox, and online. If they're
You want a free gift?
Seriously? If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
Netflix has a new, monstrous story to tell. In 1950s Wisconsin, Ed Gein lived quietly on a decaying farm, hiding a house of horrors so gruesome it would redefine the American nightmare. Driven by isolation, psychosis, and an all-consuming obsession with his mother, he committed crimes that would haunt Hollywood for decades. The third and most harrowing installment of Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's anthology series. Watch Monster, the Ed Gein story, October 3rd, only on Netflix.
You know what's really funny hearing that is when you were first talking about it. So I have my oldest son is 23, and I don't talk to him nearly as much as I want, but it's because he's busy and he's working and he's doing his things. And so when you were talking about your kids not wanting to, not having that desire to spend time with you, I was feeling defensive, and I was thinking like, oh, well, that's just because my son is busy and it has nothing to do with how I was when he was younger. But then it clicked for me of the word desire. That's the key. It's that I know when I am spending time with him that he loves spending time with me, because we do have that connection and we talk about things and we laugh together and we share and we like truly connect and bond when we're together. So that's that classic quantity or quality over quantity thing that people talk about. And like you were just saying, like you can sit in a room with them, but if you're too distracted by your phone or by your drink or by your whatever, then they're getting that validation and that connection in some other way. So then they don't need you the same way.
Right. Yeah. Do you desire
they figure out
son?
how to get it on their own.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I get what you're saying, that it's the quality of time that you spend just in life with the people that are around you. And if something like drinking or drugs or your phone or any of those things are taking that quality away, God, I would hope that becomes motivation enough for people to go, shit, I need to change these habits for that, if for nothing else, for that. I always hate when people say like, I say, oh, what's going on with smoking? And they say, oh, I'm trying to quit. And it's like, you either quit or you didn't. There's no trying. Like it's either one or the other to me. Like you either quit smoking or you're still smoking. How do you try and quit smoking? So that means then that you're still smoking. You may be smoking less, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? Whether it's smoking or alcohol or phone that we're talking about, is I think people dabble and they try and control, and some of the methodologies around it are outdated. So it's kind of white knuckling. Like, okay, this week I'm just gonna drink on the weekends. Right. I'm gonna keep it to the weekends so my sleep is better. I show up for work better. Or they're like, I drank hard alcohol, but now I'm just gonna switch to wine. I had a client who was negotiating this and started negotiating on weekdays. I'll just drink a hard seltzer. So it's like a right. mini. And I'm not saying this to sort of make fun or laugh. I think so many of us have that experience of, oh my gosh, I was just on my phone for an hour. I stayed up later than I wanted. Tomorrow night, I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm going to keep it away. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And then the next night comes and
same thing. Rinse and repeat.
Happening. And I think that is then the trying part. It's like, if that's not working,
right,
something else has to be done. A Project 90 or a 30-day or, something to use different methodologies like neuroscience and other things to get to the place. I love what you said, James, of seeing something new. I'm just breathing in fresh air for smoking.
Having a different, like a different way of looking at things and a different way of wording things and approaching things, because sometimes it's like, what was that movie? Big Hero 6, where he's got the kid on his shoulders and he's hanging, and he says, you just have to like shake things up sometimes and look in a different way. And when you do that, all of a sudden that's what you needed. You needed a different perspective and a different way, a different approach.
Yeah, there was a crazy study that showed that a daily gratitude practice of any type can reduce cravings for any vice by up to 30%. That is crazy. Think about that. If you just have a daily gratitude practice, your craving for drugs, including alcohol, can drop by as much as 30%. So what we do in our Project 90 process is we have our clients do what I refer to as the daily 20. And the daily 20 is 20 things that they write down every morning that they are grateful for. Now, the pushback I get is 20. Whoa, that's too much. Shouldn't it just be like 3 or 5? I'm like, well, look, 3 or 5 is cute, but we want it to feel hard and challenging. Just like when I go to the gym, right? When you guys go to the gym and you do a bicep curl, what do? We break down the fibers of the muscle, right? Like we're literally like just tearing it down. Why? Why are we doing that? Because we know that in doing so, it's going to grow back stronger and bigger, right? That's what it does. So the same way with gratitude, if you quote unquote force yourself to write down 20 things that you're grateful for, then guess what happens? Your reticular activating system that I referenced earlier, that those bundle of nerves in your brain will now start to naturally see more things to be grateful for. So now you'll go, oh, I just feel fulfilled. Oh, I just feel a little calmer. I'm not as stressed. I'm not as anxious or irritable. And therefore, I have less cravings. And therefore, I consume less alcohol, or I just surrender it entirely. And therefore, the result of that is I now love living an alcohol-free lifestyle. So it is all connected. And if we just shift our behavior a little bit, add a little habit of a daily gratitude practice, man, all of a sudden we're living a life of appreciation instead of a life of expectation.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Jesus, I would send everybody over to what it is you're doing, just as a different way of viewing life and the world, and asking questions and finding a new way of existing, for sure.
Yeah.
Success leaves clues. And Picasso, one of the greatest artists, said a very famous quote, which is, good artists copy and great artists steal. And so I just steal, copy people who've had success. I just unravel it, unpack it and go, how did you live an alcohol-free lifestyle for years? How do you achieve your goals? How do you make achieving your goals feel really simple and easy? How do you be the best father you can be? How can you be the best partner? And then I just learn from those people, and then I just copy it. I'm like, okay, here's the playbook, so to speak. I'll just go and implement the playbook. What I think is going on as it relates to alcohol, certainly, is that every one of us has what it takes to live an alcohol-free lifestyle and to live our best life. Often we're just missing the playbook. And if you just get the playbook from the world's smartest people who've had success and then just implement that, then change, even though it feels uncomfortable in the moment, it can be very simple.
It's not actually that hard. It's not actually.
Yeah. So tell us, actually, before you tell us where we can find you and how to learn more about Project 90 and all of that, tell us really quickly about Swannies, because I read about that. What are they?
Yeah.
Why do we need them?
Thank you. Yeah, I created what I think was the world's first stylish pair of blue blocking glasses, because blue blocking glasses were around back in 2015 when I started my company, which is called Swannies from the company Swanwick Sleep. But when you wore a pair of blue blockers back then, you kind of looked like a meth chemist, like the guy from Breaking Bad, right, like cooking the meth in the desert.
That or a hunter. That was always that's always the two ways I've envisioned the glasses. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So in 2015, I thought, I'm just vain enough that I want to look cool in Hollywood, where I was living at the time, but still block the artificial blue light that was disrupting my sleep. So I kind of created like a Ray-Ban style type of blue blocker from my sleep company, Swanwick Sleep. Customers started affectionately referring to them as Swannies. And they kind of blew up in 2015 and 16. We did $1 million in sales in the first 10 months. And then it just kind of rode that wave there, especially in the biohacking community around that time, about 2015 to 2017 or 18. And then the mainstream started to take it on more. I wouldn't say that wearing blue blockers is mainstream now by any account, but certainly there has been renewed interest in blue blockers over the years. Essentially, the way it works is this: artificial light emanates from your phone, your screen, your microwave light, bathroom light, kitchen light, speedometer light. And at nighttime, when our eyes are subjected to that artificial light, it tricks our brain into believing that it's still daytime. And so what happens is that it suppresses our melatonin release. And when our melatonin doesn't flow the way that it's supposed to flow, that shows up with us having a disrupted night's sleep. So many of us go to bed with our devices and we're lying in bed, scrolling, staring into this mini sun. And our brain is going, wait, is it daytime? Is it nighttime? I'm pretty sure it's daytime. Even though it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because you're staring into this device, the body doesn't release the melatonin. So what you do is you'll wear a pair of these orange lens blue blockers in the last hour before you go to sleep. You put them on, you can scroll through your phone, you brush your teeth in the bathroom light, you can expose yourself to artificial light, but the blue light does not penetrate an orange lens. Blue is the opposite of orange. Orange is the opposite of blue. Blue light don't get through. That was very poor grammar, but I'm just trying to, create like a...
No, it's true.
So that was kind of how the company was formed. It was really just to make sure that I could sleep the way that nature intended me to sleep. And then since then, it's kind of taken off. The company's called SwanwickSleep.com. A scientific study showed that people who wore these Swannies in the last hour before going to sleep reported sleeping 11% better. And then they said their productivity the next day, as a result of sleeping better, increased by up to 13%. So there's real science behind that as well. And if people are interested, you can just Google.
Do you have a pair of those nearby, just that you can show on the?
Yeah. Let me grab it.
I'll take 13% better.
Right? I was just thinking like, okay, I'll take a pair of those. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna order a pair of those for sure.
And I'll put it through the screen so you can kind of see how I look.
Oh, yeah. The mood is created now. We need some music. I like it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to order a pair of those for sure.
And
those are stylish. Those are good looking.
I like them.
Yeah.
Funny. I'm pretty vain. Brian. I want to look cool as I'm rocking my blue blockers.
I think most people are pretty vain. So I think that's...
why not look cool?
Right. Why would I want to look like, a sniper instead of like a guy that, that's fashionable? It doesn't. I mean, there's
James, thank you for being with us today. Where can people find you if they have questions about stopping drinking, feeling better? What can they do? Where can they go?
Yeah, thank you. I wrote a book called Clear, a neuroscience-based approach to breaking free from alcohol without AA, rehab, or willpower. You can find that on Amazon. I also did a narrator audio book, so it's about 8 hours of my Australian accent, if you can handle it. And then alcoholfreelifestyle.com is the website. If you'd like to learn about Project 90, alcoholfreelifestyle.com/Project 90. And then I'm most engaged on social media, on Instagram, actually. I put out a lot of videos helping people to rewire their mindset. I talk about the neuroscience and kind of, it's a very, I hope, a very inspiring page. And that's just my Instagram handle, which is @James Swanwick.
James,
Wonderful.
Amazing. Dude, thank you so much for being here with us. The information like this is so inspiring and exciting. And I'm ordering a pair of glasses as soon as we leave here because I want a pair.
Thanks, Brian.
I'm extremely vain. Like, I love looking in the mirror and going, yeah, okay, this outfit really came together well today. You couldn't tell by what I'm wearing now, but
You'll be try putting this sentence together. I'll be rocking my Swannies in Wagga Wagga.
I'll be rocking my Swannies in Wagga Wagga. That's easy. Come on, I'm an actor. She sells seashells by the seashore. I say these things all the time. You know, it's all about tongue twisters for me.
We need more tongue twisters.
We do
in
need
our
more
lives.
tongue twisters.
James, thank you so much.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you guys.
All of our Oldish listeners, thank you again for another great episode. Please do us one favor. Please just go now to what you are listening on, whatever app or whatever you're watching on, and just hit follow or subscribe. Follow and subscribe because it really helps us to bring amazing guests like James. And as always, thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that you don't have to navigate life alone. If there's something hard that you're dealing with or you're just ready for a change, then reach out to me at randyspelling.com, or you could DM me on Instagram, also at randyspelling. And if I can help you, I will. If there's a resource that I can share with you, I will also do that as well. Thanks.